is 15 Tes Vav, and we are the last few lines of Yudalid. In the Mishnah, we saw that Rabbi Chanina Skana Kahanim and Rabbi Akiva said that you can burn kachim or teruma that are already tamei. So since they are tamei, they are spiritually impure. You can burn them together with something that is even a higher level impurity, a higher level of tuma, such as something that came direct contact into with tuma versus this, which may be a third level of tuma, and nevertheless you can burn them together where they would end up becoming the lower level, end up becoming a higher level tuma. Nevertheless, in the process of burning it, you're going to make it worse. But since they need to be burnt anyhow, you're allowed to put them together and burn them. Rabbi Meir, based on that, and this is where it becomes relevant to our Gemara, to Pesachim, Rabbi Meir says, based on that, even if you have teruma, which is completely pure, has not become tamei, has not become defiled, nevertheless, you're allowed to burn it together with teruma tameya on Erev Pesach, because it's already at the end time, and so therefore you're allowed to burn it. The Gemara is going to ask, how can you compare the two conversations? In the first conversation between with Chanina Skana Kahanim and Rabbi Akiva, talking about a concept where you have a teruma that's already tamei, or kachim that's already tamei, and then you want to burn it together with something that's a higher degree of tuma. Okay, great. They're both tamei, but over here you're creating a tuma, which is a prohibition. It's a Torah isser of creating tuma to a kachim. So it's true, it needs to be burned, but what right do you have to cause the tuma by burning it together? That's Rabbi Yossi's. That's the Gemara is going to address. Now, Rabbi Yossi disagrees with Rabbi Meir and says, Eina min hamida, your comparison is not a good comparison. And the Gemara is going to try and figure out what comparison are we talking about, because we're trying to figure out what Rabbi Meir was learning. Where did he see in the teachings of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Chanina that you can burn even non-tamei, even tahor, teruma that's in a good state? It's just that it's chametz, and so you have to burn it for chametz, that you can burn it together with teruma tameya and something that's tamei and cause tuma to what you're burning. The Gemara is going to offer in the first opinion that Rabbi Meir was not learning it from our Mishnah at all. It only is the same concept that our Mishnah, and that's why it puts it together. But I'm not learning it from Rabbi Chanina Skana Kahanim or from Rabbi Akiva. Rather, it's learning from another halacha where Rabbi Yeshua says that when there is wine that is teruma tameya, that is in the wine press, and it's falling into the wine pit, which is where they would store the wine as it began to ferment, and the wine in the pit is not teruma, but it's tamei. So if the teruma falls in there, the teruma A is going to become tamei. B, you cannot use it in any way. Even the non-teruma is going to become useless because it's going to have teruma that's tamei in there, and even a kohen can't drink it. No one is going to be able to drink it, so there's going to be a great loss. And Rabbi Yeshua is of the opinion, as opposed to Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua is of the opinion that if you cannot save any of the teruma in a tahor vessel, in a pure vessel, because you don't have any, then you're allowed to take a tamei vessel and save the teruma from falling in, even though that means that you're actively going to cause the teruma to become tamei, even though it would have become tamei anyhow. Essentially, we'll see the case in the Gemara, but essentially what the Gemara is going to tell us is Rabbi Yeshua says you may actively cause teruma to become tamei if in any case it's going to be worthless soon. So by comparison, Rabbi Meir says, so to here, chametz is about to become useless teruma, prohibited teruma, and therefore you're allowed to actively cause tuma in the process as well. And the Gemara is going to make a distinction. Well, there you're saving there you're saving money. You're saving all of the wine that's in the wine. And that's going to be conversation number one. The other version that we'll see is, no, that Rabbi Meir is learning it from Rabbi Hanina. He is comparing it to Tuma, where you're burning it together. And the basis of the conversation is going to be, are we talking about Tameh level of a rabbinic Tuma level, Tuma d'Rabbanan, or are we talking about a D'Oraisa Tuma, a Torah level Tuma? And based on that, our time of a rabbinic time of chametz, because you're not burning chametz at noon, you're burning it an hour before noon at the rabbinic prohibition of chametz. And the Rabbi Meir's comparison would be rabbinic chametz to rabbinic tumah. So that's the overview so that we can follow the logic. Again, we're looking at Rabbi Meir's comparison that he makes in the Mishnah and says that you can burn teruma that is not tameh, that is tahor. It's in a perfectly pure state. However, it's about to be Pesach and about to become prohibited, or it's in a rabbinic time, a rabbinic hour of prohibition, and therefore you cannot eat it anyhow. So you can burn it and burn it next to truma tameh. That's going to cause tumah to it, and that's the comparison the Gemara is going to look at. Amar Rabbi Meir, midavreim lamanu. From their words we learn. So the Gemara asks, and this is again 14b, Yodalat Amid Beis, midavreim daman. From whose words is Rabbi Meir learning this? That you can put teruma that is in a state of tahara, it's pure at this point, but because it's going to become prohibited in Pesach, you can burn it together with teruma tameh and essentially cause it to become tameh. Are you going to tell me he learns this from our Mishnah, Rabbi Chanina Skana Kahanim, Midhami? Is that really comparable? Hasam Tami v'Tami. In Rabbi Chanina's case, Rabbi Akiva's case, the same. They are both a state of tuma, and you're just elevating the state of tuma, but it's already tummy anyhow. But over here, the teruma is tahar. How can you burn it together with tuma? Or you're going to tell me from Rabbi Akiva, which takes it from a state of, it's not tameh, which is the term we use for something that is so on a level of tumah that it can make something else tameh. It's puzzle. It became tameh, but it can't make other things tameh. So what? Midami hasam puzzle with tameh. There, it's already tameh. It just can't make other things tameh. So it's puzzle. But over here, it's in a pure state of tahara, and yet you're saying, Rabbi Meir is saying you can burn them together. So perhaps we can offer that Rabbi Meir is talking about in our Mishnah, that thinks that Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Kiva are talking about in our Mishnah, where it's a rabbinic state of Tumah. The lesser Tumah was not only a lower degree, which we said, let's say a third level of Tumah, which is being elevated to a second or a first, but not only that, but originally the third level Tumah was not even a Torah level Tumah, it was a rabbinic level Tumah. And then essentially on a Torah level, you're taking something that's pure because it's not, rabbinically it's Tameh, but from a Torah perspective, it's not Tameh. From Torah level, it's not Tameh. And you're taking it and you're burning it together with something that is Tameh on a Torah level. So you're causing Tumah to something that essentially is Torah from a Torah level. Because from a Torah level, it actually is Tameh. And now we're at 15.8. And so then what would it mean from their words? From Rabbi Chanina and from Rabbi Akiva, we'd be able to learn that just as a rabbinic level Tumah, which essentially from the Torah is still tahor, yet you can burn it together with something that's on a Torah level Tumah, and essentially cause it Tumah from a Torah level. And why you're allowed to do that? Because rabbinically you can't eat it anymore. So you may as well burn it together with the other Tumah, and so too the chametz, which is tahar from a Torah level that has no Tumah. But rabbinically you're not allowed to eat it anymore because it's chametz, so you can burn it together with Tumah, you can cause Tumah. That would be the comparison. Amar Reish Lakish Mashum Bar Kapara. However, Reish Lakish says in the name of Bar Kapara, no. Masnitin ba'ava Tumah da'araisa v'lada Tumah da'araisa. No, that's not the case at all. Our Mishnah is talking about Torah level tumah. That's the case where you can burn. Rabbi Chanina did not say you can burn a rabbinic level tumah together with a Torah level tumah. Rabbi Kiva did not say you can burn a rabbinic level tumah together with a Torah level tumah, because essentially the rabbinic tumahs are not tameh from a Torah perspective, from a Torah level. And when you take the teruma or the kachim that are rabbinically tameh but not Torah biblically tameh, and burn it together with a biblical tumah, you're causing it tumah on a biblical level. That's going to be prohibited. So they're not talking about that. They're only permitting to burn together kachim that are on a Torah level tumah, that are biblically tameh, together with something that's biblically tameh. And the reason you'd be able to do that is because it's already tameh. So then what comparison is Rabbi Meir making? So what does Rabbi Meir say from their words? I can learn this. It's a different conversation at all. Midivrei Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua. From Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, he can learn this. And where is that conversation? So hi, Rabbi Yeshua. Which Rabbi Yeshua did he learn this from? Ilay Mahamar Rabbi Yeshua. Is it from this Rabbi Yeshua that Tanan we learned? Chavias shel teruma shenoiled basafik. Somebody has a barrel of teruma, and there's a question in regards to the barrel of teruma. He doesn't know whether it became tameh or not. Safik tuma. So Rabbi Eliezer says you still have to maintain as much protection on this to keep it tahor as possible. If it was out in the open, put it in a hidden place so you can protect it from becoming even more tameh, or perhaps certainly tameh. Right now we're in doubt. And if it was uncovered, and that's how the doubt of tumah, the doubt of tumah happened. Make sure to cover it. So he says you still have to protect it, even though that it now is in a state of potential tumah. You can't eat it anyhow. Nevertheless, you have to protect it, because maybe somehow we'll find out. We'll be able to watch the video and be able to see that it never became tummy. Somehow we'll figure that out. But for now, even though that it's in a state of doubt and you cannot consume it, you cannot eat it. Nevertheless, you have to keep it tahor and protect it. However, Rabbi Yeshua says, no, even if it was in a stored safe place, you're allowed to put it out, because in any case, you cannot consume it anyhow. There's no way of knowing that it's going to be tahor. It's tameh, and so you can leave it out in the open, even though that's likely to cause it to certainly become tameh. And even if it was covered, you can uncover it for the same reason. So Rabbi Meir from that is going to learn that you can burn the chametz together with tameh, with a source of tumah. And what says midami? How can you compare that? Hasam grama ba'alma. There, you're just putting it out where it can cause it to come, but you're not actively causing it to become tameh. It can happen to it. But over here, you're putting the two together in the fire. They are going to touch each other, and you're causing a tumah. So that's not a good comparison. So there's another place, and this is the case that we were talking about before in the introduction. The Tanan we learned, Chavias shel teruma shenishbara begas al yenu. We have basically in the old wine presses, they would have a stomping area where they would press the grapes, and it was usually in a basket, a woven basket of some sort, and from there it would run down into a pit where it would sit for a while. So that's the wine press, the upper wine press, and from there it would run down to the lower wine press. And often that would be sealed up before it ran through a trough to go down to the lower one. So they would seal it where the juices would remain there and get the color from the skins, etc. So they would sit in the upper, sealed in the upper. In the upper press, and then would run down to the lower press. And now a barrel of teruma wine breaks and runs into the upper press. If you wait too long, it's going to run out of the upper press and down into the through a trough, a moat, some piping, or really they were open at the top, so it's sort of like a moat or a trough, down into the lower pit. Now, what's in the lower pit? V'tachtoina chulin tumin. It's non-teruma. It's mundane, just wine. However, it's tamea. It is tummy. So what's going to happen is you're going to have the teruma run down from the upper pit down into the lower pit, and this is teruma that's heading to its demise, because it's about to run into a pit full of tuma. It itself will also become tummy. Then you have the liquid becoming into the liquid. You're going to have teruma in there. So only a kohen is allowed to consume it, because the non-kohen cannot consume it. It has teruma in there. It is tummy, so the kohen can't consume it either. So the owner of this wine is now going to have a total loss, both on the teruma as well as on the mundane wine is sitting in the pit. The tuma wine he can sell to someone who is tamei, to someone who doesn't maintain a status of tahara for themselves. So that wine, even though it would have a narrower market, it still has a market. It's about to become a total loss. Same for the teruma, which is now in a pure state and can go to the kohen. It's about to become a total loss, and it's about to become tummy. So Mother Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, both Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua say in this case, if you can run, get a jug that's not in a tumah state, that's in a tahor state, a pure state. You can run and get a jug and save even a little bit of this wine, meaning most of the wine's going to run in. But by the time you run, get a pure jug and come back and stick it in front of the trough to save some of the wine. You can save even a revius, 2 ounces, 3 ounces, whatever it would be, right? 3 ounces of wine, that's sufficient because you saved some. So then run and go and get it. Everybody agrees to that. However, yatzel, so go run and save it. Imlav. However, what's the case if there's no way to save any of this? Not even 3 ounces of it, a revius. So Rabbi Eliezer Eimer, Tered v'titma, v'al yitame b'yidat. Rabbi Eliezer says, let it all happen. You cannot save it, because anything you're going to do, if all you have is non-pure vessels, tame vessels, you're going to actively cause the teruma wine to run into this jug that you're going to save the teruma with, and essentially cause a tuma. You cannot cause a tuma, and you have to let it all run in. It's going to become tummy anyhow by running into the wine. Let it run in, and don't do it by hand. Let it happen by itself. Don't actively cause a tuma, even though passively it'll completely become tummy, and in the process ruin all your wine. Rabbi Yeshua says, Af yetumena biyad. Rabbi Yeshua says, no, since you cannot save it anyhow, you're allowed to go ahead, get a bucket, put it in front of the trough, save all the teruma from going in, and essentially then, even though the teruma is going to be totally lost because it's going to become tummy in the vessel, in the tummy vessel you put there, and this wine is no longer usable because it cannot be consumed by a non-kohen because it's teruma. A kohen may not consume it because it's tummy, and even though we saw it yesterday that they can, when you burn the teruma tamei, you can use it as fuel. Wine doesn't work as fuel. Oil you can use as fuel. Wine won't work. So it's going to be a total loss to the teruma. Nevertheless, you're allowed to do it, and you're causing the tuma biyad by actively. Nevertheless, you're allowed to do it because it's going to happen anyhow, and at least you're going to save the wine that's in the wine pit. Rabbi Yeshua Eimer afitamena biyad. So, and from that, Rabbi Meir says, look, if you're allowed to actively cause tuma to the teruma, because it's anyhow going to become tummy. It's anyhow at a loss. So you may as well save it. So too here. So the Gemara says, well, if this is where his source is, then he's not learning it from Rabbi Eliezer, who disagrees. He's learning it only from Rabbi Yeshua, who says you're allowed to do this. So why does he say from their words? He should say from his words. What he means is from that disagreement, from that conversation of Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, from their conversation, we can learn this halacha, because the halacha is like Rabbi Yehoshua. Dekanami, and indeed, this we have the precision of the word seems to be indicate that the Ktani Moder Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, because Rabbi Yossi disagrees with Rabbi Meir, and he says, no, that's not a good comparison. However, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua agree. So we see that we're learning it from Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. So too Rav Nachman explained the meaning in our mission of Rabbi Meir, Amar Rabbi Barabua, and in the name of Rabbi Barabua, Masnita ba'ava tuma d'oraisa vlada tuma d'oraisa. So that our Mishnah is talking about Torah level tumas, that Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Chanina Skana Kahanim said that you're allowed to burn them together, even though that it elevates the lower level tuma to a higher level tuma. So Rabbi Meir can't be learning it from that. So from what is Rabbi Meir learning his halacha? Midivrei Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua. From the words of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, that's where he learns this halacha, and that's what we just explained. That from the wine, the teruma wine falling in, which is about to become tummy anyhow. So Rabbi Eliezer lets you actively cause tuma to it in order to save the lower wine. Esavei Rava Rav Nachman. Rava challenged Rav Nachman. Amar Rav Yossi. Rabbi Yossi in our Mishnah disagrees with Rabbi Meir, and he says Ein hanidin dom el araya. He says your comparison is not a good comparison. What we're dealing with doesn't compare well to your proof. Because in what and in our Mishnah it just says it's not a good comparison. But in the Brisa it elaborates on Rabbi Yossi's challenge, and it says when our teachers, what do they testify about? If they were talking about meat that became tameh in a secondary level tuma, which we explained, which was a shlishi tuma, third level tuma, and that you can burn it together with meat that became tameh from a primary source, meaning it's a first level. So you can burn the meat that's a third level together with a first level, as we saw yesterday. But those are both in a state of Torah level tuma. And Rabbi Akiva's case, which was a third level tuma for the for oil that had become tamei by someone who already went to the mikveh, but the sun hadn't set. That's called a tevul yom. It went to the mikveh that day, and that causes a third level tuma to the oil. And you're putting it together, and you're burning it in a candelabra. That's a primary source of tuma because it's metal, and it becomes the same level as whatever contact it had. Zeh pasul v'zeh tamei. Even though that the third level tuma is a low level because it cannot make anything else tamei, nevertheless, it is tamei already itself, and therefore you can burn it together with even such a high level tuma, and it's going to become a first level. So Rabbi Yossi says, Rabbi Meir, I'll agree with you that this is halachically okay. You can take teruma that is already in some level tuma, even the lowest level tuma that it can have, the lowest level of impurity, meaning a third level that became tamei by itself and cannot cause other things to become tamei. So what? But it's tamei, you can burn it together with the primary source of tuma. But how can you burn something that we don't know that is tamei yet, together with something that's tamei? Perhaps even if you don't know, meaning even if you have a doubt, maybe it's tamei, you shouldn't burn it together with something that is tamei, because Shema Yovi Tareno, maybe Eliyahu Hanavi will come and say, oh, this actually was never tamei. Maybe we'll be able to find out. Eliyahu Hanavi will come and tell us that it isn't tamei. And so, and even if it's not practical for this moment, whenever Eliyahu comes and tells us, retroactively, we will have burned teruma that is not tamei together with something that's tamei. So, in other words, we don't know whether it's tamei or not. But in Shemayim, they know whether it's tamei or not. In heaven, they know that. And you're burning something that may be tamei with something that's certainly tamei. but it also may not be tummy, and then you're causing tuma to this item. And he brings proof to this. So this is the continuation of the brisa, which says, Pigul is kachim, something that is a korban that was brought with the wrong intent. That, without going into which wrong intent, that would count as pigul or puzzle. It was brought with the wrong intent, and you're not allowed to eat it, and therefore there's a certain tuma to it. Vahanosar, also that which was left over. So we saw a couple of days ago, you have to eat every korban within the time allotted time, and if it's left to the next morning, it needs to be burnt. And this is called nosar. There's a prohibition of eating it, and that also would have a level tuma. Vahatame, and so an item that in itself is tummy, which is kachim, which is a korban. So all three of these are invalidated korban, and that these all these would make the hands tuma, even though that generally we say that food cannot make a human tummy, it does make their hands tummy. And Beis Shammai says, you cannot burn these together, and Beisila Amr Nisraf and Kachas, you can burn them together. That's the end halach of the brisa. But essentially, what we see from Rabbi Yossi's argument with Rabbi Meir, and his argument against Rabbi Meir says, hey, your comparison doesn't work. His argument is that your comparison doesn't work to the beginning of our Mishnah about whether you can burn the oil in a tamei candelabra, whether you can burn the tamei meat with a higher level tamei meat. But you see that he understood Rabbi Meir to say that he's learning the halacha that you can burn the teruma on Erev Pesach together with teruma tameya, with tamei teruma, to get even though that you're causing its initial tuma, and he's learning it from our Mishnah, from the first teaching. So how can you, Rabbi Eliezer, how can you, Reish Lakish, say that he's learning it from a statement of Rabbi Yeshua, from something else? Rabbi Yossi didn't understand that, because Rabbi Yossi in the Brisa is clearly saying your comparison to our Mishnah doesn't make sense. V'isa kadaitach, and we're in this third line of 15b now. V'isa kadaitach, Rabbi Meir medivra Rabbi Yeshua kamar. And if you're telling me that Rabbi Meir is only learning it from Rabbi Yeshua, he didn't actually learn this from our Mishnah. What kind of challenge is Rabbi Yossi saying to Rabbi Meir from Rabbi Chanina's Kana Kahanim? He's not learning it from there. He's learning it from Rabbi Yeshua elsewhere. Amalei Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman responds to Rav's challenge and said, Rabbi Yossi lavadaitei. You're right. Rabbi Yossi didn't understand Rabbi Meir. He understood the meaning of Rabbi Meir to be saying that he learned this from our Mishnah, from Rabbi Chanina's Kana Kahanim, and from Rabbi Akiva, who said that you can burn the tamei lower level tamei meat to the higher level tuma meat. And even though that's going to cause it to go up a level in tuma, or Rabbi Akiva says burning the oils in a metal candelabra, which is going to bring it up 2 levels, that's what the understanding of Rabbi Yossi was. V'amar lei, and Rabbi Meir responded, no, you misunderstood me. I wasn't learning it from Rabbi Meir, from Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Akiva in our Mishnah. I was learning it from Rabbi Yeshua, from the other conversation about saving the wine in the wine press. V'amar lei, and to that Rabbi Yossi responds, afilu Rabbi Yeshua nami amida. Even Rabbi Yeshua is not a good comparison. Because Rabbi Yeshua would agree, even in this case, both Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua would agree, you have to burn them separately. Even though that Rabbi Yeshua said you can actively go and take a tamei vessel and save the wine from falling below, and where you're actively causing tuma to the wine. So why is it not a good comparison? Mida. It seems a good comparison. There he says you can actively cause tuma to something to teruma that's about to become tummy. So to here, you're allowed to actively cause tuma to the chametz that's about to become prohibited anyhow for Pesach. Gemara says, no, that's not a good comparison. Shiny hasam the ikehef said chulin. There, the reason he allows you to do it is because you're saving the wine that's in the wine pit. It's not, you can't just go ahead and cause tuma to teruma. The teruma wine is about to come in, and so let it drop on its own. Why would you actively cause tuma just because it's about to passively become tummy? That the only reason is because you're trying to save the wine in the lower pit. You have wine that is chulin, so that anybody's allowed to consume. It's just that they're going to cause themselves tuma, but they may be in a state of tuma already, so that's good wine for them. So it has a market. It's kosher good wine, and you're going to cause it to become to become a total loss. So therefore, you're allowed to actively cause tuma to something that's anyhow about to become tummy. But in our case, why would you do that? So it says hasam the ikeh hefsed chulin. There's a loss. You're going to lose the chulin. Maskefla Rav Yirmiyah. So Rav Yirmiyah challenged Masnitin in our Mishnah Nami Ikeh Hefsed. There is also a loss because if you make a separate fire for each Hefsed Eitzim, he's going to lose the timber, the kindling. Amaleyahu Sabah. So one of the elders said, LeHefsed Meruba Chashashu. Come on, yeah, a wine pit full of wine. That's a great loss. That's something we're concerned about. And said, you know what? You can actively cause tuma to the wine by saving it in a tummy jug, in a tummy barrel, and tummy bucket in order to save the wine that's in the bottom pit. But what you're concerned of that you may need a little bit more wood so that they're in a fire. They can even be in the same fire. They just can't touch each other, right? So you need a little bit more kindling so that the teruma that's tummy and the teruma that's tahar won't touch each other. That's not enough of a loss. So to conclude, we had in our Mishnah, Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Akiva said, you have something that's on a Torah level tuma, but a lower level, a third level. You can burn it together with something that's a first or even a primary level tuma. And the reason is because they are both tummy. And so you can burn them together. Or in the case of the oil, you can consume it as fuel while you're burning it, which is permissible to a kohen. Rabbi Meir says you can similarly, from their words, we're going to try and analyze from where, right? So from their words, you can learn that you can burn teruma on Erev Pesach, an hour before the Torah prohibition time, at the rabbinic prohibition time. You can burn it together with teruma tameya, essentially causing tuma to it. And the Gemara says, but you're causing the initial tuma. It never was tummy. How can you do this? To which the Gemara explained that Rabbi Reish Lakish says he learns this not from our Mishnah, but rather from Rabbi Yeshua, who also allows for an initial tuma to be caused when it anyhow is about to become tummy. It's anyhow to be lost, about to be lost. So too, Rabbi Meir says, here, this is about to become prohibited. It's about to become useless because it's Pesach is coming. So you're allowed to burn it together with Truma Tameya and Rabbi Yossi, and cause it its initial Tumah. Rabbi Yossi disagrees and says, no comparison. There's a loss. Here, there's no loss. And Rabbi Yirmiyah essentially saying, according to Rabbi Meir, there would be some loss because there's even a minuscule amount of loss because you need more wood. That would be the conversation in our Mishnah and the understanding of Reish Lakish, the way to understand Rabbi Meir. Now we're going to have Rabbi Yochanan's interpretation, which is that no, what we first said is true, that Rabbi Meir is learning it from Rabbi Akiva and from Rabbi Hanina. And the question was, but what comparison is there? Rabbi Meir says you can cause the initial tumah. Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Hanina, Skana Kahanim, they're saying that's something that's already tummy. True, a lesser degree of tumah, but it's already tummy, and you're making an elevated level of tumah. How can you do that? And the initial attempt of the Gemara is now what Rabbi Yochanan is going to explain the Mishnah to say that actually Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Akiva also are talking about something that isn't tamei. They're not tamei. It's not tamei on a Torah level. It's a rabbinic tumah. So from the Torah level, from the Torah prohibition, it actually is not tamei, and you're causing tumah to these items by burning it together with the Torah level tumah. Even though rabbinically it's tamei, rabbinically you're not allowed to, you can't consume this. Rabbinically it's prohibited at this point. We get that, but it's not a Torah level tumah, and you're the initial exposure of a Torah level tumah. And the comparison of Rameir now makes sense. We're also in a rabbinic time of the prohibition of chametz, and you're going to compare the rabbinic time of prohibition of chametz to the rabbinic tumah. And just as a rabbinic tumah may be burned together with a Torah level tumah, essentially causing it its initial Torah level tumah, so to here the rabbinic prohibition of chametz can be burned together with a Torah level tumah, and essentially causing its initial Torah level tumah, and that's the comparison. And then the Gemara is going to ask, well, that's a good comparison. What did Rabbi Yossi not like about it? Amar Rabbi Yassi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yassi said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Machlokas b'sheish. The Machlokas is in regards to the 6th hour of the day. Aval b'sheva. But once noon comes, which is the Torah prohibition of chametz, divrei hakol sofer, everybody would agree you can burn the teruma that's already totally prohibited and useless. And at this point, you can burn it together with the Torah level tumah, even though you're causing tumah to it, but it's no longer teruma that has any value because it's chametz. Amalei Rabbi Zera Ravasi Nemek Kasav Rabbi Yochanan Maslita Ba'ava Tumah Daraisa Uvlada Tumah Darabanan. So what we must say is that Rabbi Yochanan understands our Mishnah to be talking about that Rabbi Hanina said you can burn teruma, you can burn meat together with meat that are tamei, even it's a higher level tumah. Actually, he's talking about not only a higher level tumah, but one is Torah level tumah, and one, the lesser tumah, is actually talking about that something that on a Torah level is not tamei at all. It's only rabbinically tamei. And when Rabbi Meir said, from their words, I can understand that you can burn teruma together. That's talking about that he learned this and understood this from Rabbi Hanina, from our Mishnah. Amar Le in. So he said to him, indeed, that is my Rabbi Yochanan's understanding of the Mishnah, of what Rabbi Meir is making that comparison to. Itmar Nami, and indeed we have that this was correctly. This was said. Itmar Nami, it was said. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Maslita Ba'av Hatuma. Rabbi Yochanan said our Mishnah is talking about Ba'av Hatuma, by a primary level Tuma D'oraisa, which is from a Torah level. Uvlad Hatuma D'Rabbanan, and when in the second case said the Vlad Hatuma, the secondary Tuma, that's talking about Vlad Hatuma, the lower level Tuma that he said you can burn together. D'Rabbanan, it's in a rabbinic level Tuma. Umayim Devrayim, and what did Rabbi Meir say that from their words I can understand that you're allowed to burn? Midivrei Rabbi Hanina Skana Kahanim. It's from the words of Rabbi Hanina and in our Mishnah. Umachlokas b'sheish, and the machlokas was in the 6th hour of the day when it's rabbinically prohibited to eat this chametz, the teruma. So even though that on a Torah level, this teruma is not tamei and it's not chametz, you're allowed to eat it. Nevertheless, rabbinically you can't eat it, and therefore Rabbi Meir says, just as Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Hanina said that you can burn the teruma. You can burn the meat that was a lower level rabbinic tumah together with a Torah level tumah. So too, my chametz, which is rabbinically prohibited, I can burn with a Torah level tumah. But indeed, in the 7th hour of the day, meaning at noon, the beginning of the 7th hour of the day, when everybody agrees there's a Torah level prohibition on chametz, so this teruma is totally useless at that point. Everybody would agree that you can burn it together with the tumah. Lema Messiah. And let's say we have proof to that. The proof text would be from the previous case that we brought right at the top of the daf, which said pigel and nosar, which are prohibited meats from kachim, either because it was the wrong intent or because it was left over to the next day, which are not allowed to be eaten. Rabbinically, they now have a tumah. And they can be burned together with meat from a kachim, from a korban that became tummy. And there you're causing tumah to it. Nevertheless, we would just you can burn them together. So to over here, you see that this rabbinic prohibition of chametz can be burned together with tumah. The Gemara says no comparison. Shani hasam the islay tumah darabana. There at least is a rabbinic level tumah. How can you compare a rabbinic level tumah to no tumah at all? The Tanana pigel v'anosar, as we learned in the Mishnah, that pigel and nosar, meats from a korban that were the wrong that you had the wrong intent or were left over to the next day, are make your hands tumah. So you see that there is a level of tumah, and therefore, yes, something that's already tummy can be burned together with something that's already tummy, even though that the tumah in the lesser one is rabbinic. But over here, you're burning something that has no tumah at all. Lema Messiah. So we're going to try and prove that this is indeed what the Mishnah is talking about. Hapas she'ifsha v'nifsel melecha la'adam. Bread which became moldy. A human can no longer consume it, but dogs will eat it. Now, so it was initially edible to humans. So it had a status of chametz. And now it became inedible to humans, but it's still edible to dogs. It retains its status of food, and if it was originally tameh, it can still cause tumah that food can cause. B'kabetza, in the size of a kabetza. And it can also be burned together with tameh foods, even though it itself was not tameh. If it wasn't tameh, it may be burned together with something that's tameh because it's already not edible to humans. The Gemara says, "Shani hasam the afra ba'alma." There, it's dust of the earth because it's chametz on Pesach. Chametz on Pesach is useless. Ihachi. So the Gemara says, so if that's the case, what was Rabbi Yossi's disagreement with Rabbi Meir? Seems Rabbi Meir got it right. He's making a comparison that on a rabbinic level, a tumah can be burned together with a Torah level tumah, meaning on a Torah level, it's not tameh at all. But nevertheless, since it's not, you're not allowed to consume it, you can burn it together with tumah, a Torah level tumah. So to the chametz. Amalei hachi kamalei. So this is Rabbi Yossi to Rabbi Meir. This is what Rabbi Yossi says to Rabbi Meir. Afilu le Rabbi Yeshua the mekel. Even according to Rabbi Yeshua, it says you can actively cause tumah. Ki meka b'teluya u'tumeya. That's only by something that there's a doubt or about to become tummy. Aval tahara tumeya, but something that is still tahar, he would never say that. And tomorrow we'll continue with the argument of Rabbi Yossi against Rabbi Meir and what Rabbi